In this video, we're going to show you how to install the exterior door handle on your Subaru Legacy located on the rear door. Now we're going to start by opening up the rear door. We need to remove this door panel in order to remove that exterior door handle. Now we're going to start with a small pocket screwdriver. We need to go ahead and pop this cover off right here. Now we're going to place this right between the cover. There's going to be a little gap in here. And if you notice, I'm going to come towards the leading edge right here. I'm going to push this in and then pry it down and pull out towards you. Now it's going to pop out. You're going to pull it out like so, and then pull it up, popping that up and off. There's going to be clips right here that hold this in place. Now there's two Phillips head screws here. There's one right here, and there's one right up on the top here. Now if you notice, my screwdriver is going up at an angle here. There we go. Now save those there. We're going to be reusing those later. Now we need to go ahead and remove another trim panel, and it's right up behind the release handle here. You're going to use your pocket screwdriver once again and go in. You can see the little gap around the perimeter, so all you need to do is pop that out. This is it right here. There's just little tabs on here that hold it in place, super easy. And right behind that is going to be another Phillips head screw right in front of our button. Loosen and remove that one. That's the last of the screws and the trim panels we need to pop off there. Now the door panel itself has a series of plastic push pins around the perimeter holding it in place. So we're going to use a trim tool. And normally what you want to do is you can run this around the perimeter. And normally there might be a little spot that you can find a little gap in there. If not, you just kind of push it in behind it like so, run it, and then pull it outward. Now, here we go. Get your fingers in there, pop it out, and then you can just kind of gently tug it as you go around, releasing these push pins. Sometimes they pop out, sometimes they'll separate from the door panel and stay stuck in the door shell. Not a big issue. Now at this point you can see that the door panel is flimsy. We're going to go ahead and lift our door panel up and off. Now if you notice here, our window is currently down. We do want to go ahead and raise this in the full upright position. It doesn't matter whether you do it now or previous to starting the job, but it just got to go up. Now on the back side of the door panel, you're going to have the cables here for the interior door pull, but there's going to be a little wire harness that comes around, and this is going to be a little connector here. We're going to push down on this little white tab and disconnect that. Now you can separate this here and put the door panel aside. You can perform this job with the door panel like this. We now want to go ahead and peel back our water shield to gain access inside of this little window right here. Now this is a critical part of the door panel itself, so you want to be careful taking this apart. Now this black here is a self-sealing adhesive, and sometimes you can gently pull this away without tearing the water shield. Another way you can do this here is use a razor blade. And once you get it separated a little bit, go ahead and start to trim the sealant here. As you're pulling it, you can cut that sealant. Be careful not to cut the water shield. And it's always good to wear gloves when doing a job like this, because once you get this on you, it can make a disgusting mess. Now with that water shield removed, we can see this cable running over, and there's a green retainer clip right here. Now that green retainer clip has to get pushed down and off. Sometimes you can do it with your finger, other times you're going to need a pair of pliers to go ahead and snap that down and off. We're going to try our pocket screwdriver here if we can get that to pop off. Now I was able to release that, so we're going to fold that down. Now this is actually going to pull out. You can see I pull that out there. Now the handle itself has two 10mm bolts. There's one up here, and then there's one up over here. So what we're going to do is use our 10mm socket on our stubby 1/4 inch ratchet. All right, got that one bolt there. Let's go ahead and get that other one. On the bolt in the back, we're going to try a box wrench to get in there. If you have a gear wrench, you could probably get in there. Be a little quicker with it. Now at this point here, our bolt is loose enough we can reach in there and remove that. There it is there. Now I'm going to reach around the top of the door and hold that handle. And on the inside, I'm going to use a screwdriver. Now there's two tabs on the bottom that kind of lock these into place. Before we remove the handle, let's go ahead and pop this cable out and use our screwdriver here to go ahead and assist us in popping that cable out. Now before you install the new handle, it's always good practice to go ahead and clean up around the perimeter here, get any of that old dirt and debris out of there. Now you can go ahead and take your handle. You're going to insert the upper portion in and go ahead and snap that in. Let's now go ahead and install the hardware on the inside. Now at this point, we're going to go ahead and install our two bolts on the handle. I'm going to go ahead and reach over here on the far left. Not a lot of room in there, but it can be done. If you have giant hands, well, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. And just for time's sake, ideally you want to go ahead and run those bolts in as far as you can by hand. I'm going to get the bolt here on the right side. And then we'll go ahead and start snugging these down. And when those bolts bottom out, you want to snug those down pretty good. Now the inboard bolt is going to take a little bit longer because we have to use our wrench on that. Or if you have your gear wrench, you can go ahead and use that. But let's go ahead and tighten down that inner one. Here we go. Get that further bolt snugged down. Now I want to go ahead and grab this cable up here, and let's line this up, snap this on. Just gonna line that up there. And what you can normally do is just put my screwdriver in here and just push in. Now that we have our cable snapped into the back side of the handle, I want to go ahead and get our cable end here inserted into that green retainer clip there, locking clip. So we need to grab that. You can see I get that end there lined up. I need to push that in There it is. So now we have the cable end pushed into that green clip, and then we're going to pull this up. We need to snap that on. There it is. So just lock that into place. Always go ahead and reach around the front and work that handle. Make sure everything works as it should. Now we're ready to reinstall all the other components. Now at this point here, we've completed our door handle installation. Let's go ahead and install our water shield. I'm going to pull this up. And line everything up. Should be able to just kind of stick this back in place. You can do the best you can to line things up again. Sometimes it's not always perfect. You get it close. Here we go. Now, for any reason, if your adhesive is no longer good and this is falling apart, you can simply use a good tape and run it around the perimeter and just kind of tape that up and seal it up nice. Now that we're holding our door panel, we're going to go ahead and install our electrical connector. And then at that point there, we're going to go ahead and hang our door panel off the top of the door shell. Go ahead and grab that connector, line that up and plug it in. You can normally hear it and feel it engage. Now it's going to lift up our door panel and we're going to tilt it inward at the top and hang that on the inside of the door right here and push it down and on. And once that bottoms out and we let our door panel relax, you can actually look on the inside and see the plastic pin, and it should pretty much line up with the door shell itself. You can feel it. So then just give it a little push and you can hear them line up and pop on. Work your way around the perimeter, bumping it on, locking it into place. Now with our door panel snapped in place, let's go ahead and install our 3 screws. I'm going to start with our upper one here. It really doesn't matter in the order that you install these here or remove them. All right, we'll snug that and then we can install the little cap there. Now this here will just go in place. Once you have it lined up, it should just snap right in. That's all set. Now let's go ahead and install the 2 screws in the bottom. Once that bottoms out, just give it a little bit more. Just want to make sure that's good and snug. All right, snug that. And installing this here, I want to make sure that your tabs line up with everything. Now the upper portion here has a little tab on the top, a little nub if you want to call it. And that is going to be the one that faces on the top. The bottom is smooth. Snap that on, and you're all set. Don't forget, once you're all done, go ahead and give that a test. Perfect.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.